Read the school committee statement. The committee represents the needs of all Leominster public school students and places their interest above all others. We will exercise leadership, adhere to our protocols, and base our decisions upon a reasoned assessment of all available information. We will advocate for each of our schools and support high-quality public education in Leominster. Next, we'd like to open up for public comment. Is anybody online or in person? Good person? Yeah, come on. Come up, state your name, address. Yep, right up there. Yep. You have 2 minutes.
My first time at a meeting.
No worries.
My name is Dustin DeShiro. I have a 7-year-old daughter at Johnny Appleseed School, and on a daily basis, I watch her almost die. The crossing guard is awesome, but I shouldn't say no one. Daily, I watch cars blow through her stop sign. Last week, I watched a car hit her stop sign. And on another day, I actually punched the hood of someone's car and tried to take the hit so my daughter did not. I reached out to the school due to a parent who feels it's appropriate to park in the crosswalk in front of the school. We received an email about the increased police presence. The absolute laziest cop I've ever met in my life was parked 50 feet away from the crosswalk while I intentionally drove past him doing 45 and parked across the street and watched him never look up from his cell phone. I have been told by the crossing guard and other staff that this cop was caught by the chief of police asleep previously in his car. I would like someone to tell me what options there are so people will take that crossing guard seriously. Or can we put a cop there who gives a damn?
We can't respond, so.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Sorry, I apologize. Yeah, we can't
Can someone
respond.
point me in the right direction? Because I called the police department, left a message for the sergeant of the traffic division, no response. I called City Hall, no response. And I called every number I could possibly think of to find out who the school resource officer was I'd speak to. Nobody knew, nor did I get a call back. So can anyone point me in the right direction of something I can do?
I will make that communication for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Because I really would like to actually speak with someone before someone dies.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in person? Anybody online? Anybody signed up, Chris? Third time? All right, we'll close this portion of public comment. Any communications?
There are no communications this evening?
Student report?
So, oh God. Yeah, that does work. There's not much. Semester 2 is well underway at Leominster High School. This upcoming Wednesday, the 7th, there's an early release day for students. All the grades are preparing for Winter Carnival. And then when it comes to sports, boys basketball is 12-2 and they're second in Division 2. Their next game is at Algonquin tomorrow night. Girls hockey is 24th in Division 2. They are 8-5, and then girls basketball is 21 in Division 2, and they're 7-7.
Thank you. Superintendent's report?
Sure. So I have a handful of quick ones. So kindergarten registration is now open. If your child is 5 years old, by August 31st, they can register. You can check us out on our website. Enrollments can now be done online if you prefer, or you can come in and you can come to the Parent Family Information Center located on the ground floor at 24 Church Street where staff can assist you. To set up an appointment, please call 978-534-7700. We're extension 4. This coming Wednesday, if any of you have time, we have the All City Chorus at LHS. Students in grades 3 through 12 join together for one night of performances. They put on a wonderful show, so if you have any time, please stop by. You'll really enjoy yourself. And that again is at 6 o'clock. Wednesday, February 7th is an early release for students. If there is any change in your child's routine, whether someone different is picking them up, maybe they're going home a different way, please notify the school of any change so we can make sure that we have a seamless end of the day. And the February break is quickly approaching. The schools will be closed the week of February 19th. So over the next 9 days, students should be completing all assignments, all projects in a timely manner to stay in good academic standing for quarter 3. And lastly, our district is sending the best of luck to a former student, Noah Gray, who plays for the Kansas City Chiefs and is headed to the Super Bowl again. His prior coaches, teachers, staff, and friends are so proud of him and just want to wish him the best of luck. It's just really nice to have a team to root for this year. So go Noah, make Leominster proud. Thank you.
All right, going on to presentation discussions, AIS partnership with Life Skills.
So I would love to introduce this team. We talk about a lot of partnerships that we do around here in the district. And this one, we have one of our teachers from our Life Skills program here at LHS who partners with AIS manufacturing in town. And I have 2 representatives, Mr. Rick Marchand, Deanna Zarella, if you could come forward, please, to the mic, who have been doing some tremendous work with our life skills students. And actually, our students are being offered jobs. So I wanted them to come and share this partnership because it's phenomenal. It really is phenomenal. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you for
Thank you.
having us. Appreciate it. Here you go. There we
Go ahead, yeah.
Okay. So those of you who don't know, Affordable Interior Systems, we are one of the largest manufacturers here in Leominster, Mass. We manufacture office furniture and we employ almost 1,000 employees now. And I've been with the company 6 years, and 6 years ago we were about 600. So we are growing rapidly, and the expansion of that now has incorporated our life skills and many other programs that we're partnering with under the guidance of Rick. Rick has done a phenomenal job in introducing us to what opportunities we have here at AIS. So I want to have Rick talk to you about that. And again, thank you so much for having us. We do. It's an exciting program for us, and it's growing rapidly. So
Thank you, Deanna. Sure. It is such a pleasure to be here tonight. The mayor remembers, as I do, the night that AIS came into Leominster for a TIF. And there was a promise by the founder, Bruce Platzman, and we're dating back to 2015, that there would be a day where he had 230 full-time employees. We were so excited. And he also indicated that he was going to be giving back to the community. Well, you know the rest of the story, and it continues to build. It's a company that's grown from, at one time, a little over 800,000 a year to over 300 million this past year in sales. So they're just doing great. Our new president and CEO, Nick Haratos, is in a meeting this evening. We're having our national sales meeting and was unable to make it, but he does share his generosity with the school committee and the school district for whatever we can do to help you out. The whole tale of how Leominster got involved with AIS is it's a beautiful story, to say the least. And I actually worked at Aspen Valley Collaborative post-retirement from teaching high school after 34 years. And I was working with young adults with disabilities and challenges. And when COVID hit, we closed shop up, just like everybody else did. And so what happened at that point, I ended up going down to AIS through the mayor to take some pictures of what was going on as they sold the mask. And one thing led to the other. And in a conversation with Bruce, it was his desire that once things settled down, he really wanted to reach out to the school districts around the area, in particular Leominster first and foremost, and see if maybe we could have some young adults come into the program to have an opportunity to do skill training, specifically life skill students. So it was a Friday we were talking about it, and Pauline Roberge showed up with Junior and the Tony brothers, and it was my day off, by the way, so I got a call to come in real quick, and I met with them, and they were actually banging on doors around the neighborhood to try to find some work for the kids as they were coming back in a soft opening. And so what happened was through Patricia, and Lauren in the special education program, we were able to put together a memorandum of understanding very quickly, do all the paperwork that was necessary, and then try to figure out how this was all going to play out. And so in the meantime, that program that was basically initiated by them has grown to 12 collaboratives working down there on a weekly basis with 120 individuals ages 17 to 58 that work with us. And they come from as far as Bill Ricker. We also have another group from Westboro, Marlboro, Hudson, Fitchburg, Lunenburg. It just goes on and on. We do have a handout for you to take a peek at afterwards. So what we have done at AIS is we have worked very closely with the job coaches coming in, who are really the guardian angels of these young adults. And they share with us some of the things that each of the individual students coming in would like to accomplish. And in some cases, it might be social skills. So what happens is it turns into a conversation we have either at work or sometime after when they're enjoying a treat at the end of the shift. And so what happens is we continue to build with that. And we've had some great success stories. One of them being, for example, Lucia Ramos, who's now with Garmer and Gardner. And Lulu was deemed through the Make-A-Wish Foundation Wonder Woman of Massachusetts down at Disney World. So when Lulu would come in, she would show exactly. And it was Wonder Woman that actually did the presentation to her. And so what happened was when she was down in Florida with the Make-A-Wish, she came back and, you know, if you were walking through the factory, Lulu would all of a sudden just stop and show you her moves on how she's going to protect you.
Nice.
And when Bruce Platzman, the founder, found out that Lulu was working there and we brought him into her to surprise him, it was the most heartfelt moment I've had at AIS. He was in tears. You know, he knew of Lulu, but he never met her before. He's on the board of directors for Make-A-Wish Foundation. So that was Lulu. You know, we have Courtney. When Courtney came to AIS, she was in a wheelchair. She'd off the bus, went into a wheelchair, came in a wheelchair, went up in the elevator, got back in a wheelchair, went into the factory with soft wiping with her job coaches. And we found that one of the things that would really get her out of that chair was hot chocolate. And so what happened was at the end of her shift, she could have a hot chocolate. Courtney comes to AIS, no wheelchair. And one of her responsibilities is to actually go from one of the break rooms to another break room to another break room. So she's getting some pretty good exercise while she's at AIS. And then we end up, there she is right there. Yeah, this is Courtney. So this Courtney, when she first entered in the chair, and here she is last week, actually sanitizing a table in the cafeteria, which is a very important job, especially around this time of the year. You know, we also have Junior. Some of you know Junior. Junior is a basketball. Everybody knows Junior. So there's not so Junior. When Nick Heritos met Junior for the first time, Nick said, you know, you like working here? And Junior said, absolutely. He said, well, someday we'd love to have you work here if you'd like to. And Junior said to him, I would like to work here, but I can't, Nick. And so Nick said, why? He said, well, I'm probably being drafted by the NBA. So you never know, that could happen.
Could happen.
You know, and then of course we have the Catoni twins. They came in with their dad right around that time of entry. And what happened was there was a decision made by the school department, which was very smart and intellectual. Let's keep them on board a little bit longer so they can develop the skills necessary. They're both employed now by AIS. And they run a draw department. I spoke to our Northeast representative sales director, and there has, in our customer service. There hasn't been one complaint on their work since they took over that department when they come in from 6 to 10 in the morning. Isn't that amazing?
Wow.
It's
Zero
not,
defects.
and it's not easy work.
No.
And they're great. So we're just having a ball with them. The Catonis is Lulu. You know, we have Courtney. We have a young man by the name of Justin. When Justin came into the program, his challenges are significant. I can't get into the detail because that's something that's kept in the safeguards of the school department. But limited, very limited in what he can say, mama, dada, single words, etc. But that's about it. When he came in, smiles from ear to ear. But what happened was he was actually had to be physically prompted from picking up a piece with the teacher's hand, placing it on the rack, letting go, putting his hand back down, and then he would be looking for the next prompt for the next action. He now works 38 seconds independently with no prompt. That is a huge accomplishment in the world of special education. And that has nothing to do with AIS. That's the faculty that you send into AIS. They're second to none. They're on their game, and the attention that they give the students is just phenomenal. You know, I was a teacher for 34 years, and I would not say that to you if it wasn't true, and you know that as well. So, you know, we have been very blessed. AIS is challenged because we're a made-to-order company.
Correct.
So we don't warehouse anything. So what would happen is, like, for example, one day the students might come in and they're working on this task, and the next day they come in and they're doing another task. And one day they did 4 tasks in 2 hours. Now, for someone who's autistic, that's a challenge. And we have a lot of autistic students and individuals working at AIS right now through internships, the job coaching, and also employed. And, you know, for them to have a change of direction, it's amazing. You know, when they come into the factory, they know who they're going to stand behind, where they would sign in, where they hang their coat, where they put their lunch, where they stand at work, where they eat at lunch, and when they leave. It's so regimented. It's amazing. So we were really pushing the students hard. And so what we did was Cara Brandisi, mayor, we know her from the Johnny Appleseed Festival. She was also on season 22 of The Voice. She was a Berkeley College School of Music graduate with music therapy background. And we had her come in twice now.
Yep.
And she actually did a music therapy lesson with them. So, you know, we have Danny up there dancing, Lauren's brother from the Aspire program.
He's the mayor of AIS, just so you know. Okay.
He just walks through and everybody just loves him to death. And he's just a great young man. Again, working in a graduate working with the Aspire program out of Devon's. And we've had, you know, the Catonis up there dancing and
Correct.
and the ladies dancing with them and actually singing as well.
They're singing with them as well, too. I think the big part
Yeah.
of it, too, is just so everybody understands, these are real jobs. We may have to modify them, but there are no made-up jobs. So we have individuals at AIS that do the same thing. So they're working side by side, and we're teaching them, and they're teaching us, too. I mean, it's learning skills for everybody. So yes, we do have to adapt some jobs, but everything that they're doing is something that someone else at AIS does as well, too. So it's really, it's exciting when you see how far individuals develop within that. And like I said, 0 defects, and I mean 0 defects. I mean, they are spot on when we give them things to do, and they learn very, very well. Might be different how we adapt it, but they learn, and that's, you know, part of it. So the coaches that come in, they're coaching us as well, too. So it's learning for all of us, and it's been it's a truly a very, very successful program. So thank you. Appreciate that.
And I guess just to wrap up my position at Deanna as well, I think we've been blessed,
Yeah.
you know, and some companies, we've actually gone out and spoken with companies like Amazon Robotics at the AIM Institute, manufacturers all over Massachusetts about this. And, you know, they're excited to figure out how they can do it. It's really important. And, you know, we're hoping to really break that barrier, the stereotypes of individuals that have intellectual and developmental challenges. We all do.
Yep.
You know, we're all on IEPs. My wife will tell you that, you know, so, but in the meantime, we're just so blessed, you know, and they bring so much to AIS. We can't say enough. And, you know, we try to do the same thing. We're going to bring them to a Woo Sox game this
Yes.
year. We bring them on picnics and barbecues. We'll bring them down to Kimball's for ice cream. You know, we're going to play bocce this spring.
Yes.
You guys want to play bocce? We have a bocce court out front. It doesn't get used that often, but we're going to dig out some balls and have
Yeah.
some fun with them. But they're a big part of our extended family, and we're blessed. And we thank you for supporting the life skills students and program. And with open hearts, we thank, you know, the teachers and the administration for allowing us to do this with you. Thank you.
That's
I
wonderful.
don't know if you have any questions or anything.
It's one, you have to see this program in action. If you've ever been part of our Best Buddies program here at the high school, Trish Carlson, you and your team are phenomenal. And what both sides get out of the daily interactions with those students, you have supported the students through this partnership beyond any expectation. So I want to say thank you to you and your team. Please keep it up. And huge thank you. And please, I've said it to your company before, but you don't know what you're giving to the Leominster Public Schools and the students. We really have this commitment around inclusiveness and giving students, all students, an opportunity to watch that graduation this year of the Catoni twins. I walked out of there. I emailed it to the mayor immediately, and I was like, I've never seen anything like it. Probably one of the highlights of my 35-year career. So I want to say thank you to both teams, because when you talk about partnership, this is the definition of what a partnership is. So thank you very much.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Thank you.
Can I ask a question? How is this benefiting the classroom? So I assume that
Good question.
that opportunity at AIS is presenting positive outcomes in the classroom as well. What are you guys seeing?
Well, we have 11 students in our adult class right now, and each of them get a day at AIS. They go in either groups of 3, usually groups of 3. We have one group of 2, and they do go with, I call them job coaches. They're paraprofessionals who have kind of extra responsibilities in my classroom. They get a lot out of it. Every student gets something different. When he was talking about Justin putting those little clips onto these teeny tiny little hooks, that's occupational therapy for Justin. That's him learning how to be independent and knowing that he can be in a real workplace and do things on his own. So that's a great sense of pride for him. He also knows everybody in the place. He walks through, everybody's giving him high fives and saying hi to him. There is a man there that buys him McDonald's once in a while. He wants to buy our kids lunch. The Catonis got a lot out of it.
Yes.
There are 3 Catonis. Their younger brother is also in the class, and he has a shift at AIS. But Jason and Matthew have real jobs now. They're going there every day from 6 to 10, and they're working, and they're getting paid for it. And they told me about their Christmas bonus, and they were all excited about their bank accounts. So,
the money ones.
oh yeah, yeah,
No.
they like them.
They'll never admit it. They'll never admit it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everybody has a different experience. Everybody's an individual. Everybody has different needs. Courtney Burns loves to go. I mean, she is in charge of everybody in the classroom and in charge of everybody at AIS. So you saw how she went in the wheelchair and now she's walking around in there. So everybody has a different experience, but everybody learns something and everybody gets a lot out of it when they go. So
Thank you so much for everything you guys do.
thank you.
Beautiful.
Sounds wonderful.
One of the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next is item 2B. Or not B, superintendent search process with Tracy Norwood. Hi, Tracy.
Good evening. We're going to hope for to be, Mr. Chair. A number of you are familiar already, met a number of you already, but for those of you who I don't know, my name is Tracy Novick. I'm the MASC Field Director for Central Massachusetts. I know that our Executive Director, Glenn Kuchar, was with you at your last meeting. And I wanted to come back to you this evening to give you some updates and also to clear a couple of things with you so that we'll be able to continue to move ahead with the superintendent search in a timely fashion. And also I know that both keeping the school committee and also the larger community appraised of how the search is advancing is obviously very crucial. So there's 2 pieces of paper that you have before you that are coming in from me this evening. The first is an updated search timeline. As you may recall, the search proposal started in December, and we can't actually go backwards in time. So we're moving ahead with the time that we have. You do still have plenty of time before you in terms of getting this done in a timely fashion. You'll notice that starts this evening. And there are a couple of items on here that I want to clear with you because again, emphasizing the importance of coming back to the school committee at key decision points is obviously an important part of making sure that the school committee can continue to manage the search. It does, however, require potentially 2 additional meetings with you because honestly, you have vacations just like most schools in Massachusetts do. So luckily, Chris has been right on top of things, which I think probably won't surprise any of you, and has gotten me straight into the schools this Wednesday for your professional development day. So I'll be able to spend time with the staff, gather their input. I do have a survey, which is the second piece of paper that you have with you this evening, which is ready to go. And honestly, I can post it this evening for you all to share, which is another method of gaining information. That is deliberately short. SurveyMonkey does actually give you an estimate as to how often it will be completed. We're up around 70 or 75% with that one. It does also give you an idea of what it is that I'll actually be discussing with both your staff and with others that I get input from, which really essentially boils down to 3 questions. The first of which is, what are the strengths of the district currently? What do you want to see continued? What are currently the challenges of the district? What are the things that, in other words, incoming leadership would be most needing to focus on? And then what are the things that you think the district most needs in terms of leadership coming in? You'll see that there's a multiple choice question at the end. So with your clearance, I can post that this evening, and then my request would be both that the district share it, and then also you all as elected officials have your own methods and means of sharing information. The farther you can get it out there, the better, the wider the net will cast. Moving ahead, I would propose that we do at least one public input session. I'm happy to come and do one in person. I would propose that for next Monday. This is attempting to try to keep a tight timeline in terms of getting back to you all. And also the commitments that I already have. I also would be open to trying to put one together this weekend on Zoom if you think that that would be useful. And I would honestly defer to all of you as to whether or not you feel that that would be a good use of time. If this is the first request in terms of additional, my getting back in front of you, taking the information from the survey, from meeting with staff, from public input sessions, I would then be coming back to you with a report, which would include a proposed position description. Now, to clarify, I think we all know that superintendents in Massachusetts have a sort of standard list of responsibilities that they have under Massachusetts general law. However, I think we also all know that superintendents have particular things and needs depending on the school district. It is that I would then be bringing back before you. The association, we don't post positions without having actually gotten the authority of the school committee with a description. So either we can figure that out this evening, or I can work through Chris to figure it out. But my request of you, and we can certainly do this via Zoom, I know that you're all very busy people, would be that I could come back to you with language. You would be able to look at it, review it, make what edits you wished to before next Friday, so that we then could actually get the position posted by the end of next week. As I'm sure most of you are familiar, next Friday is actually then the beginning of the vacation week, which I think we find is actually not a bad time to sort of have the position out, because in some cases, people who are applying for superintendencies are then sort of taking a breath maybe for that week. That would be my first request in terms of time. Then you have put together a search committee. Appreciate that. Training the search committee ahead of them actually getting the applications is important, not just because they need to be trained in open meeting law, because as I'm sure most of you are aware, as a committee that is advising you, they are subject to the open meeting law, but they also are operating under confidentiality, because all of the applications they receive will be and will remain confidential. So I would put together, my understanding is that Tuesdays were seen as being good for the search committee. That is a proposed date. Now, this is one of the places where I'm pulling things back a little bit to try to keep you moving at a slightly quicker clip. Generally, we try to post positions for somewhere around 6 weeks. I'm pulling it a little bit short, only because if we run the next week, we actually run into the Easter weekend, which I don't think is necessarily a great time for the search committee to then be reviewing applications. Now, I know it's not a holiday for everyone, but it will be for some people. So the position would be closing on the 22nd. Now, the one thing I will say is MASC did put up on our website, as soon as you had your conversation with Glenn, that Leominster was open and that people should be looking for the application. So while the application isn't out there, those who are considering Leominster may well already be aware that the position is opening. The search committee then would meet the following Tuesday to select the semifinalist for the first round of interviews. First round of interviews are held in executive session. I would propose that the search committee conduct their interviews the week of the 8th of April. Now, you then meet on April 1st. So that's happening just after your April meeting. We would want you to have the finalists announced to you from the search committee in a formal fashion. We can do that via a memo. It does work a little bit better if it can actually be done at a meeting. That would mean that you would need essentially an additional meeting just for that sometime in April. Doesn't have to be a long one. And then the 2 weeks of April following the April break for site visits in both directions. Members of the school committee visiting the home districts of finalists the finalists visiting the Leominster Public Schools. And then I know that you have a meeting on May 6th, and we can work with you all as to whether you would want to have all of the finalists come in for a single evening and interview them essentially back to back to back, or interview them over a series of evenings. But I don't know about you. May feels like a bit of a distance away at this point, so I don't know that we necessarily need to make that decision this evening. So I have spoken a great deal. So my two asks of you, Mr. Chair, is first of all, that question as to whether or not the committee could potentially find some time next week for me to get together with you on Zoom so that you would be able to approve the position, so that we would be able to move ahead with a posting for next Friday. And then you've already answered the final question on here, which is great. The other thing is that we do, alongside of the job description itself, also post a community profile, which first of all includes information about the district. How big is the district? How many schools does it have? All the information, but also is a chance, I always say, to sell the community, right? Why would you want to come be the superintendent of the Leominster Public Schools? And so I want to be sensitive to that being an opportunity. It is a standard form that we offer, but it also frequently draws on information that you probably in particular would have, Mr. Mayor, from the Chamber of Commerce, from the city websites and so forth. And I would be happy to work with Chris on that, but I also want to sort of just offer that that's another thing that we'd be looking for. Presumably in best case scenario, it would be best if we could have that by the middle of next week. So that could be part of the posting as well.
And this here was.
It's on, you just go take yourself up. There you
I
go.
think what we agreed to already was that we were gonna just get this out there as fast as we could to
Mhm.
let people know that that job is gonna be available. Has that been done already?
It has.
Okay,
That
so
went
that
up,
part's
yep,
done.
that went
So
up
now you're
within
gonna-
24 hours.
Right, so
Absolutely.
We're gonna button this up a little more. We're gonna put more information in there. Get some-
Exactly.
And put that out. Okay, I
Yep.
just want to make sure.
Absolutely. No, we were sensitive to that. We know that you're trying to make sure you're moving ahead. And so really, I think the search is going to be that balance of making sure that you get things going as quickly as possible, but also still have like the community input and we get the school committee feedback and so forth.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Anyone else with any questions?
Assuming the survey is available in multiple languages.
The survey, I have not put it through in multiple languages. I certainly can. And I would be happy to check with the school district as to which ones you'd want.
Right. We were pretty much gonna just clean that up and. I think everybody says that.
Wonderful mayor.
How about if we say we're fun?
Yeah.
Just mention
We
fun,
can,
yeah.
we actually do. We usually do put photos on it. So if you have things from the Plastics Museum, I wouldn't want to leave out the opportunity for, I grew up in Sterling. I wouldn't want to leave out Leominster's opportunity.
No, don't
for
put
flamingos
that-
on it.
No, I'll put that one up. But we try to get away from that citywide. We try to get away from that. You know, if you ever look into like community development magazines, everybody's live, work, and play.
Mhm.
Try to make it a little different than everybody else's ad. They're all the same. You could just
Yes.
change the name.
Well, that's
Yeah.
it, right? So
I mean, we have
want
Ron. Ron alone is worth coming to work for the system. Ron.
Ron is famous because he comes to the delegate assembly and represents you every year.
Even you know.
Ash.
That's what I'm saying.
With
He's known
passion,
worldwide.
absolutely with passion. That's right.
Saying.
But we're only in positive
Go ahead.
passions. No, and that's exactly it. Actually, we would never, and as I said, I grew up in Sterling. I live in Worcester. We would never want to describe you on your behalf. We want you to describe yourselves. And so we want to make sure that we're faithful to what you would present as your best pitch for why someone would want to come be the superintendent here. Which
Okay.
is also, if you know, why I'm asking the questions that I am, both for the survey and for the staff and then for the public, is first of all, like, what are the best things about the Leominster Public Schools? We always start there.
Okay.
All right.
Questions?
So best for me to work perhaps through Chris in terms of find some time for next week.
Yeah.
We need to schedule a meeting
Right.
though to vote on it.
Right. So the draft will be coming based on the time that I spend with the staff. And do you wish to have a public session for me to be here in district on Monday evening? Does that make sense to all of you?
Whatever's good.
Okay.
That's for public feedback.
And that's for public feedback. Yep.
I think so.
And be asking exactly those same questions for those who might want to come in person. And do you think that there needs to be a second one as well over Zoom, or is one in person sufficient?
Do one and then follow up if needed.
So we would be out of time because if I do that on Monday and I'm putting together the position description for you to have it posted by Friday, potentially talking to you on either Wednesday or Thursday, we would just.
And on Monday for the public, but could we have people also join? Like right now, we're here in person, but we're also virtual.
Mhm.
Those two things simultaneously.
If the district has the capacity to manage that, I'm happy to do it that way. Yes. Mhm. Certainly. All right. And now we'll work with Chris on location and all of that sort of thing. All right. Are
City
your
council
meetings
will be in
usually?
this room, Christine? So we probably have to be either in the media or in the auditorium.
But we have to have connectivity to the, yeah.
That becomes the one difficulty, yes, because I'm crunching it into, right, I am crunching it into the things that I already have, unfortunately. So, right, and the other thing, of course, next week we run into both Ash Wednesday and Valentine's Day for those who might not want to be out on either of those evenings.
I have something
Monday's
I can
fine.
try to get out of Monday night, but
Well, and here's the thing,
Week
the
off,
the
so-
the committee doesn't, sorry, I should have clarified this. The committee doesn't actually have to be here for the public input sessions. This is actually something where I'm going to be opening it up. I'm going to ask people to
it's
either.
best to let them feel free that they can say whatever they want.
Exactly.
We
Thank you
shouldn't
for
be.
saying
Let
that,
them say what
Mr.
they
Chair.
want.
Exactly. That's true. And I will run the staff input sessions just for your information the same way where I usually will say to the principals, if it's okay for you to just sort of step out for a minute. I think it's one of the virtues of having MASC to discharge is it's someone who's from outside the district, who's, who's just going to put it all together and bring you back what I hear. So
Is it, Steve, is it, I want it to be comfortable for people. Is it easier for us to see if the council can meet somewhere else? Right, well, somewhere, but what I'm saying is, we're all set up right here. Are we gonna have this, if we go somewhere else, are we gonna have the same setup? Because I honestly, we've had better participation when there's not something, barn burning on the agenda, because people can just do it from home.
absolutely.
So I suspect that we'll have a lot of participation via 7, but they might have subcommittees ahead of that, subcommittee meetings. So it could start at 6, could start at 5:45.
Wave the wand. Wave the mayor's wand.
I am happy to.
Right.
Well, and I mean,
Venue, and I would
Yeah.
suggest the media center as an venue.
Can we hook it up and would it be the same quality?
You can set that up, Steve.
Yes.
Yes. We can make it work.
As long as it's the same quality. So we're not going to have people calling in saying, texting us saying they can't hear us. And this is good quality I've been on the other end of it. And it's pretty good quality. So as long as it's the same, if not, then maybe we can ask the council if, they could find another spot for the night. All right. And they'll let us know right away and we'll let you know. And then we can list it as a location.
Yes. Because we want
People get home.
Mhm.
Okay. What else do you need from us?
and I will work with Chris to get some time, with you then to actually have it approved, working on the community profile together. And then just as a, concept, once the search committee has actually done their work and needs to come back to you with the final list, we would then be scheduling a meeting sometime, after April 8th, which would mean you'd essentially be having an additional April meeting. Any objection to that?
Looks
Okay,
good.
so we will work on the scheduling of that once we get that far in. All right, very good. Thank you all very much, and I will.
Just give us a nudge if we need it.
Exactly, and likewise, and
Oh,
also,
Josh, I'm
oh,
sorry.
please do, yep.
Yeah, just for the meeting Monday, for purposes of getting it out to the public, will you have something prepared to go out that we can share and the school system can share? Just so it's all one message.
Yep, once we've cleared up exactly where it is, I can be happy to do that.
Can you also put it on Facebook
I was gonna say, yep, I was gonna say, I will, what I'll do is
and also as a public service enterprise?
We could just do a code red. You could just notification from the superintendent.
Yep.
And everybody knows.
So I can email it, text it, and call it. So we'll be able to get through to everybody.
All right.
And what I would,
Yes.
I could
And-
piggyback on Melissa, to piggyback it, the language.
and I was gonna say, okay, and what I would recommend is we could also provide the link to the survey at the same time, and that way people, if they can't come to one, would be doing the other. Great.
And the school committee doesn't have, because I'm afraid I'm gonna be Rebecca coming back. So I won't
No.
be able to-
To the chair's point, honestly, this is one where you all not showing up would actually
Yeah,
be better.
Let people say,
Because that way people can just come say, feel free to say what they need to me. Yes. And the other thing that I will say is that if we do run close on time, one of the first things that I always do, and I believe most of you already have my contact information, but I make sure that I share it with those in case they need to feel like they need to follow up with me afterward. Great. Okay.
sounds good.
Similarly, if you have other thoughts or other questions, please get in touch.
I think with you as our team leader, we can do this.
You absolutely can do this. This will happen.
You're going to keep us on track.
I am going to keep you on track.
The drill sergeant.
But politely.
All
Yes,
right.
Mr. Chair,
It's called
absolutely.
nudging. Nudging.
Thank you.
Thank you for the nudge.
Take care.
All right. Good. We're moving. We're on the groove here. We're on the move. We got a plan. Miss Renee, are you in a hurry to get out of here tonight? You're like already on deck.
No.
We didn't even call for the new pitcher. They haven't even
Okay,
got
I'm
the,
here, I'm ready to go.
they haven't even got the bats on the bus yet.
I'm actually
Working hard
really
on it.
excited to share the data because I think you guys are gonna be excited too.
All right. So we have the mid-year update.
So today, I'm gonna share the mid-year data for Dibbles and iReady. And last year, we presented the same data, but we were using maps. So right now, iReady is now different. And we have that K through 8. So our data is moving right through all our grade levels. I have to push this. Okay, thanks. Yes, thanks. I don't do that. So I'm excited to show some of our growth. And I do want to start off by saying that, we put in a lot of new curriculum in K through 8, ELA, our math, and other areas also. And our teachers are really working hard to implement that those curriculum products, and we're really trying to make sure that we're capturing student voices and hearing our students talk. And so it shows in our data too. So I'm just wanted to explain, share that out because I think our teachers are really working hard to make this, make our curriculum to adapt it to our students and make sure all our students are moving forward. Like I said, I'll do K through 5 DIBELS and iReady 1 through 8. And the iReady for K is started in the winter month. We don't test them in the fall because of their ability and their and getting them settled is more important for us at that point. Our first slide is around our DIBELS, and that's our Priest, Fallbrook, Francis Drake, and Johnny Appleseed. Once again, DIBELS. Next slide. DIBELS is a set of procedures and measures for assessing the literacy skills of all our students. It is administered in all grades, K through 5. It is a short 1-minute fluency measure that is used to detect for kids at risk or the developmental of early literacy and reading skills. Each subtest has thoroughly researched and demonstrated to be reliable, valid indicators of the early literacy development. DIBELS results, we use them as to evaluate individual development and provide grade level feedback towards validated instructional objectives that we use with our wonders. Next slide. This year, as you look at our beginning and our middle, obviously we want all our students in the green and blue area, which is our core area. We have some students in the yellow, which means they're just a little tad behind and they're working towards it. Our kindergarten, as you can see, always has the biggest growth from the beginning to middle. And they grew 28% of students into the grade level core. Our first grade did a 2%, and we're still moving kids back and forth. Our second grade did a 1%, and this is a slow and steady growth because, as you know, in the beginning, the reading selections are a little bit easier than the middle, and then they get to their grade level at the end. So that's for the beginning, the middle, and the end. Third grade still is had a little drawback, but again, third grade, there's a couple of reasons. Third grade is when they're still learning to read, and now they're reading to learn. So they slow down a lot because they're kind of told to slow down because they want the kids to understand what they're reading. So their comprehension piece comes in piece there. And it's still a little bit of our lag of COVID with the kindergarten and first grade. So we're still making some great gains there. In fourth grade, a little setback there, but we're working on that, and has developed some plans around that. In fifth grade, still some setback around that, but as we know, at the end, they kind of catch up. So the mid-year is a little bit of a slower because they are trying to comprehend too. So because they do a maze along with it, so they have some time to relax, and they do slow down a little bit. But overall, we have 3% raise, moving students up into our grade level, and we continue to have, this year we have 57% of our students at grade level or above, which is an increase from last year.
Last year, we were at 54%.
At 54%, and last year we had, I think I wrote,
Over 400 students less last year. And so we have 414 more this year, and our percentage is up 3%. So
that's
good
great.
work that's happening there.
So we're making some good great gains. Any questions on the DIBELS piece before I move on?
I circled here, third grade. You said there's a fallback because you're making them read slower so they can understand what they're reading.
So they're not reading for fast. So they learned basically third grade that's the turnover grade where they're learning not to read so much. They don't have all the phonics because now they're learning how to comprehend and to respond to reading. So it slows them down a little bit because
What books reading?
they're wonders units. their curriculum products. They're still using the units of study that are in each of the curriculum products, but they're not exposed to the phonics piece. We're hoping they grasp it. So they do slow down a little bit in third grade because they're more on the comprehension piece. And so teachers don't want them to race through stuff. They want them to be slow and steady and be able to start learning to be able to respond to their reading.
So Renee, it's more content area as
Yes,
they get into third, fourth
Third.
grade.
yes.
I can
Content.
speak from my own experience as a parent. My third grader, that's a day-to-day challenge, getting her to slow down.
Yeah,
down.
They're doing a
so,
great
Yeah.
job with it though.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, I guess I must be really thick in the head. When you're saying slow down, like for example, when they leave here to go to home. What do they do? What do they have to do? The practice they're learning here in school versus at home.
so it depends on what the teacher assigns. There's some decodables that kids go home with. There's reading selections chapter books that kids go home with. It depends. And there's also content from our Wonders program that they might go home with to work on.
So Ron, they're reading words, right? And then later they're retaining them and putting them together and, yeah. Slow down.
And she was saying, when you're saying that you want them to slow down, is it because they're reading faster? Or,
Yes.
you know how some of us, when we're reading, we just go from here to there, and we're going over the
So now in
subjects.
third grade, Ron, we want students to make
Well, in the
meaning.
third, you still have
right?
little books to read.
Yes, but now we want them to understand
Right.
what they're reading, not just to say the words. So we teach phonics catered to making sure that they can
But my
articulate the
question
words.
is, when they go home, what books do you want them to read?
Well, they're reading
Them to read.
appropriate
I get some-
age
Yeah.
and whatever level they're at, but
Mhm.
instead of just saying
The
the
bag
words,
that goes
it's a
home.
nice day, let's go fly a kite.
Yeah.
Now they understand it's a nice day outside and let's get the kite and go fly it, right? I mean, that's before that you read the words.
No,
They're saying that, you know, it takes them more time to understand.
And process it.
it's,
Therefore, it's not like anybody making them slow down. It's just
yeah.
that now they're thinking about what they're.
Yes. I can tell you my daughter reads very quickly, the number of words, right? But trying to capture what the
Right.
yeah, who was the
Story,
main
what it means.
character, who,
Yep.
you know, trying to remember what the, you know, the subject
content
story
is
was.
the-
And, you know,
exactly.
sometimes she gives too much information, sometimes gives too little. And so she just needs to slow down and try to capture that information.
And, or like my son used to just constantly just go right through it and be like, what happened? And he's like,
There's no comma.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. It's like, so he read everything perfectly, but he didn't remember anything he read. So
Right.
now it's just slowing him down to understand what he read.
And it's all about the comprehension
it's
because
all
as
the-
they
yeah.
get older, they're going to be
Or-
getting
or-
into
or synthesizing what you're reading.
Right.
I mean,
right.
I'm pretty sure each and every one here in this room, you give them a newspaper or whatever have you, whatever you want to use, and have them read a particular paragraph, and then you get drilled. What did you just read? Please tell me, what are you gonna say? Whatever paragraph.
So there's
you
an
read.
emphasis catered to on fluency,
Fluent.
starting to read and being
You're taking
fluent.
that from the child,
Right.
from a third grader.
So it
and then you
changes in
take
grade
it
three.
to an older person.
Right.
But
and
if
each-
anyone
each grade
remembers the
level-
Hooked on Phonics,
Yeah.
that was years ago and they
Yep.
did the data. So the child was analyzing words, the diphthongs, the digraphs, et cetera, et cetera. However, to put the thoughts together, they didn't have that. They didn't have the comprehension. That's what the
So
data
It
indicated.
comes in levels, right? First you learn the words,
Yeah.
right? Now you're beginning to understand what they mean. And then later you start to know where the comma goes and you get to know, right? I mean, you start to know what a pronoun is.
Three.
Right.
That
Yeah, it
switches
does.
grade three.
That's all she's saying is the first level is understanding, is knowing the words.
Sounds and phonemes.
Right. And then later on, they'll transition into knowing what the words mean, right? And putting it to, right. We all
I
learn
think that
way.
if we move on to the iReady data, that you'll see now, that's the comprehension piece, and you'll be able to see that growth.
That-
Mhm.
Thanks.
Okay. So iReady is performed 3 times a year, fall, winter, and spring, and we do that for grades 1 through 8. We administer the K test in winter and spring. And then they get the diagnostic. This is a diagnostic. It still is an adaptive assessment. So when kids are doing really well and they're answering questions, the questions get more difficult and with understanding. If the students are answering them incorrectly, then the questions get a little bit easier, so we can weed out what skills they really need to be looking at and working on, and making sure that they're even challenged if that's where we need to go. So we get the low end of the aspect of some of the students who need some of the phonics, even in 4th and 5th grade, but we also get the students who need the materials that is even more difficult for them because they've scored in the upper grades. So this test is very adaptable to what their strengths are. And we're allowed to work on their weaknesses also on an individual process. So moving on with that, we look at the data in 3 areas: on or above grade level, 1 grade level below, or 2 or more grade levels below. So those are the placements that we talked about. In kindergarten, our students right now on and above is 44%, and our reading is 66%. And we have 56 and 34 that are 1 grade below, but this is our first time the students have taken the iReady test and have worked with that. So we're really excited about this result. And we also are, they are now on their individual pathways also, working in individual areas that they need as their personal weakness and strengths. If we go on to grade 1, I kind of rechanged this map a little bit. So in the fall, it was 9% students and 30% in the winter time. So we grew by 21% of our students at on grade level. And it's broken down so you can see the -5 and the -15 usually adds up to the 21%. And so that in that area, that's where we are moving kids from the 2 or more in the 1 grade level up to the green, which is what we want to be doing. In the the fall reading, 19%, we moved them to 47% in the winter. So it's a 28% gain to all students on grade level. And as we're moving, 50% of our students went down from 67%. So that means they moved up to the on grade level, and 13 in the reading in the fall went down to only 3% of our students are at 2 or more grade levels. So they're definitely moving forward with this.
Great.
Grade 2, same thing, lots of growth. Math was 12 at 29%. We had a 17% growth. Our middle stayed the same, but look at our students who are 2 or more grades below. They went up by 17% up into the upper areas. So that's a great move for us. And in reading, same thing, we had 20% move up to the different levels to the green. So we are at 52% in grade 2. Grade,
Great. Wow.
it is great. It's really, our teachers are thrilled with this data. They're manipulating, and I'll give you a little bit more around afterwards what we did from fall to winter to have students move. In grade 3, same thing, 20%. We keep moving them forward so that we're having less in those, the red and yellow areas, 1 and 2 or 3 grades. So we keep moving them up to the green, which is where we want them to perform at. So we're keep moving them forward. Grade 4, same thing. And here you can see some of our kids did go from the red to the yellow. They didn't go up to the green, but we still moved kids up a level, which is really important. Grade 5, same thing. Kids are moving up. It's getting a little bit slower, but they're still moving up, and we're making those gains as we are seeing the data in front of us. Grade 6, math in winter, there's a 13% growth. Reading, there was a 10% growth, and our other areas have gotten lower, so students are working towards being on grade level on their materials. Yeah, so the math in the fall was 30% in the green, 42 in the yellow, and
There's 42% in the math winter. There's a drop of 4%.
because 4% of the kids move from the yellow to the green. See how it's 12% on top of the green? So,
What was
and
one
then
negative
8%, yeah,
I just hit me in the head and I said, oh, reading something wrong.
and 8% of our kids went all the way up to the green because we both 4 and 8 equals 12 that went up to the green. So that's great. And that's the same with the our sixth grade. So 4% moved up and 9% moved up out of the red. So they went up to 13% in the green, which is a huge growth. Seventh grade. We had some growth there too, a little bit minimal. So we've kind of dived into that, which I'll explain a little bit later, but they are still working on the students moving forward in their personalized plan. In grade 8, same thing, little growth, but we're still looking at those students and those grade levels to see where we can push them even further. So once our students get their reports and our teachers, so for an example, students make their own individual grade plans of how they're going to improve and move forward in their learning on this. And our teachers today have met with iReady and the full day PD. They looked at all their data and made student plans for the students who had maybe not reached their target growth or their typical growth, and the ones who they really want them to meet their stretch growth. So up here, our typical growth is an average annual growth for students at this grade and placement. So the students get a percentage that they need to grow each time we test. So 29% of our students had met their typical growth in math this time around, which was it's an increase last year by 12. And 44% of our students had met their typical growth in reading, which is a 20% more than last year. So, and this is the second year for our grades 6 through 8. So they're now learning how to make their goals and set their goals moving forward. And this is the first year for our K through 5, and the teachers love it. The data and the standards and where they're at and how they can help kids with standards, it's great. The stretch growth is for the students who are below the grade level, and we're asking them to get an attainable level that's a little bit ambitious, but they give them something that's going to really stretch their growth and make them think about it. We had 8% of those students meet their stretch growth in math already, and that's supposed to be for the end of the year. So that's great. And we had 19% of our students meet their stretch growth in reading. So students are taking this seriously, majority of them, and they're really buckling down and doing our lessons in the elementary level. They do 20 minutes 3 times a week in ELA and 20 minutes 3 times a week in math. And what that does is they have it as part of their centers, or some do it at the end of the day during their Reteach and Enrich block, and their lessons are placed on where they need the most help. So they work on those lessons and have to keep passing the steps to keep moving forward to get to their grade level, attain what they want at grade level. So our students are really taking the competition and really getting those lessons done, which is huge because it's showing a growth in their scores. And it's showing us that they're able to be able to perform better, hopefully, and get that. So we're really excited about that breakdown. Next. And here's our percentage of breakdown for each grade level around the typical growth being made. So this is obviously for 1 year. In the whole year, they want 45 to 50% for the whole year. So we're halfway there in a lot of our grades. And we're even excited about the math because math's all new in the K through 5. So, and it's all language based, and students and teachers are really working hard on learning this new program. But the growth that's coming up in math is huge for us, and having students have that individualized little lessons that they're working on to keep moving on their skills. So we were excited about that. And then here's your stretch growth. And these are usually about 25 to 35% by the end of the year. We're already halfway there. So our kids are meeting their stretch growth in a lot of the grade levels, which is really important. So as we keep moving, and hopefully in the spring, we'll be able to have data that says that they met their stretch growth at 25% to 35%.
So there's the software that they use. Everybody can remember somewhere where they got stuck, but just couldn't understand how they got stuck. We all remember that point. This sort of diagnostic or this software kind of can figure that out.
They
That,
figure it out and
and
then
then
they give you a
help you
report.
and then help you to get around that. So you understand that, can you move on rather than back to, yeah, I remembered something in math.
Individual.
Yep.
Each one of them has a different.
Personalized. If Steve, you want to go to the next slide?
The My Path, I mean.
The My Path
right.
iReady right here, it's so that if the child, let's say, I'm taking it and I get stuck on, character traits.
Right.
That might not stop me from moving on because I could be really good with at nonfiction materials, but they will come back to on their pathway. They will revisit character traits and teach them 3 to 4 lessons
Right.
and have them test before moving on so that they would get it.
There's no
So-
sense of moving on because it's
Right.
going to show up later on. So that's the way.
So it's really all
So the software has
personalized
really
for-
helped.
Oh.
That and the teachers understanding it and using it as a tool.
Yes.
And then being able to also get in there and help them out to help them catch up with the sort of data that they have. So that
Yes.
everybody can see what's going on. And
Right.
so the kids create their own path to this with their own plan. And it must be gratifying to know that you met a certain goal, which gets you pumped up for the next one, right?
And the teachers are all monitoring it
Right,
too,
right,
and they
right.
have little competitions going on,
Right.
and it's good, but kids like that and they help each other out. It's very integrated. It has videos, so some of our kids who might need a video, they have other ways of looking at it, whether it's a picture. So there's a lot of, this program has opened us up to have a lot of really personalized instruction for our kids who do need it. A lot of our kids that are in the 2 to 3 years might be one of our ELs. And so they get on there and they can have it. They get to see the videos to go with vocabulary words to help build that vocabulary for them. So it's really a great pathway for any student, whether they're ELL, special ed, or just someone who's struggling with a certain topic. So this personalized instruction has really come a long way. And like I said, our kids are enjoying. They don't find, it's not like they have to do an extra little center and they have to do something and write it out. They're enjoying the time.
Actually
and
having fun learning.
Yeah.
You tricked them into it. See?
We did.
That's what happens. You trick
Finally
them into
got it.
learning and it's amazing. It's amazing what happens. Greg, did you have a question?
I just more of a comment that it's nice to see a lot of progress being made at the middle school level, I think is the biggest thing. And just kudos to everybody all around. My daughter came home with her report and man, I was like, this can't be right. Like, the progress she made to her stretch goals and everything is just, I think it's just an indication that how much work everybody's put in. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And everybody else.
And then the last slide just talks about how we're, making sure that students are working on these on we're asking for 45 minutes to 60 minutes a week, sorry. Sorry, not a day. And now our teachers, like I said, the middle schools, their students are working on their own goal setting and putting that down and meeting with the teachers. And now our elementaries are just finished some of their training and they have one more day tomorrow. And they're starting to do some individual student goal setting also. So we're moving, our teachers are really enjoying it, I think, and they find it productive so that it helps our students keep moving forward.
Well, think about it. If you're a teacher and you're teaching math or reading and a kid does get stuck and you get all these other students to try to, you can try to help, but now you have a sort of an assistant there to help you out, right? So
Right.
that no kid falls through the cracks.
No, we're hoping not anyways.
Right. Well, it's kind of hard when you have this. Well,
Right.
when you have this,
Mm.
if somebody is falling through, you're going to know that.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to.
Yeah, no, definitely gonna
It's
know
not going
that.
to show up at the end of the year. Whereas where we get all the complaints.
It's every day.
Right.
Day
No.
to day.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
Take those dibbles.
We're very
We
excited.
talked about dibbles, but I don't know if anybody really understands the whole meaning of dibbles, but we
We'll
take
take you
that
through a
up.
lesson someday.
Yeah, I get it now,
It's
but
like a
we've been at it for
mystery.
many years. But every time I talk about dibbles, maybe it needs another name.
Yeah.
No. All right. Next, we're going to move on to Massachusetts School Building Assistance Update. And we've had a number of sessions,
Yeah. Last week,
programming, I
it
guess.
was great. So last week, the design team came in And there are 3 sessions scheduled. So that was session 1. We met with students, which were hilarious. Then we met with a teacher group and sort of started the visioning process. We did a full building walkthrough, and at night we had a community event. So the second round, same groups, will be on February 13th. And so anybody that wants to come, I have to say the themes through each session were consistent. Out of the mouths of babes, we had a 4th grader walk in with a notebook full of ideas. She had done her homework over the weekend and she said, let me know when you're ready. Designers will not put pen to paper until they've listened to these 3 sessions. So session 1 is done. Session 2 is next week on the 13th. Anyone is welcome. And then there's another one in May. Once they understand not just the physicalness of what people want, but what is the essence of the school, what's important to us as a school, then the design process will start. So people did actually ask, and the kids were open to everything. It was more the adults. Well, what are you doing with what I'm saying? They are listening, and they wrote everything down. So if you ever have a chance, either the February or May, you might want to stop by. They're going to be a little more visual at this next session. For instance, where do you learn best, or what type of chair is more comfortable for you? And, where do you like to read? They just take you through these ideas. Our teachers, they ask for electricity, locked doors, and fresh air, and they were saying, no, let's think bigger. Let's dream. Let's what do you want? And it was very difficult visioning is hard. So people just kept saying, no, we just want to know what you're doing, because it's been a long process. Christine's like, I've been on this for, I think, 3 years now. So
You look the same, Chris.
yeah, still looks good. So people wanted answers. We're not there for answers. This is really the visioning process. So I'll keep sending the invitations out, and feel free to join any of the sessions.
Well, if you think you got to add technology, obviously security, everything, but technology, we've gone from whiteboards, which we rolled out at first, to
touch screens.
And blackboards. Yeah, well, that's prehistoric. I'm too young for that. But anyway, look where we've been, but we're just beginning to see the beginning of all of this technology and how it interfaces.
And where's it going?
Yeah.
So they kept saying, don't think about the school for 2024.
Right.
Think about the school for 2060.
Yeah.
Or 2080. So the school can keep up with the times. What does that look like? What would it feel like? And you could see everybody, air. I just want air.
Yeah.
No. So it's been a really,
Flexibility, because things change.
Literally,
Said that. That's how we did it.
literally people.
That's how we
said that.
designed the police station for flexibility. What we're doing now is we have a community outreach team. You got to keep it flexible as things
There's a good
change.
conversation about like renewable energy and that.
Yes.
And,
Oh, yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Flexible space finally came up for the community.
Flexible spaces.
Because it could
critical.
change. Everything changes. And think about the groups that have to come into classrooms now, and what's the barriers. It really stopped people.
We even had conversations at our table about, individualized education. It's really starting to, what's unique about this child and what do they need to be successful, and how does that, I can only see that growing over the next decade with technology and everything that we're doing. So how do we support that, But it was run really well. They had a lot of good conversation starters, and I'm certain that the next meeting will be great too. So
You know what? And you know what? Air is important.
It
It
is.
really is. People may laugh at it, but
they brought up
healthy air is,
weather,
we've
and
known.
climate, and
Yeah.
they brought up, what happened on September 11th in Leominster, and how do we
What happened?
survive that? I don't think that,
So the
I don't know
outdoor
what happened
classroom
there.
space really was pertinent. That is standing out, that people want to maintain, because it's a beautiful area.
yeah.
So how much more can we, use that space? And you could see the juices were flowing. There were several designers there, and they were writing and typing
Yep.
as fast as they could. So it'll be interesting to see what they come up with.
Chris, it might be good to just pull up a couple of things like the dibbles and stuff for anybody later on as they gather information about superintendent. Just give them, kind of a status of where we're at, just to see what we're doing, what we're using in our progress. Okay, thank you. So now we're going to move on to approval of the minutes. Is there anybody here that would like to make a motion that we approve the minutes of January 8th? Is there a second? Everybody get a chance to look at them? If so, any errors or omissions? If not, all in favor? Those opposed? Thank you. We have approved minutes. We're going to move on to policy updates. All right, finance.
We met, and we
Pick the
went
chair.
through, what's that?
You pick a chair.
Yeah,
Okay.
that would be me. Um,
Became late.
so, we have
Oh,
to
you pick
go
the chair.
through the warrants and the transfers.
Yes.
You wanna? Josh will read them off.
You're already delegating your authority. It didn't take long.
Oh, he does such a good job.
Should ask for some stipend or something.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the following warrants from the general fund. Warrant 24 in the amount of $3,445,748.90. Warrant 25, $484,888.09. Warrant 26, $2,574,105.71. Warrant 27, $273,574.74. Warrant 28, $2,730,839.96. Warrant 29, $400,440.71. Warrant 30, $2,654,670.35. Warrant 24. So this next list is the grants and revolving fund. Warrant 24, $554,891.08. Warrant 25, $404,974.78. Warrant 26, $362,847.71. Warrant 27, $209,454.97. Warrant 28, $302,961.54. Warrant 29, $525,863.55. And last one, warrant 30, $232,469.28.
Didn't take long. Put him in charge. He's spending on millions. I
Brandon,
don't remember it being this long with as many warrants. Greg, you better straighten them out. All right. Is there a motion?
Said Brandon does better, but you know what? He'll learn. He'll learn.
He's in training. All right. So there's a motion by Greg or Josh. Josh, is there a second? Second by Melissa. Any questions or comments? If not, all in favor? Those opposed? All right.
Transfers?
Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the following transfer requests. Table 1 from the general fund, the amount of $7,651,386.42. General fund expense transfer.
The 500,000 out of that one.
So table 1, transferring $200,000 from technology maintenance code to the district-wide that code. And the last one is $34,923.24 from
Salaries.
from
Multiple salaries,
salary.
Much from salary?
34. The third one.
Okay.
34,000
All right.
923,024.
All right. You heard the motion. Is there a second? Second by Melissa. Any questions or comments? If not, all in favor? Those opposed? And we'll go back to approval of field trip.
This is the annual overnight for grade 6 Nature's Classroom this March. It's a 4-nighter.
Okay, we got a second. Any questions or comments? Don't you wish you were them? Don't you wish you were them?
Mhm.
If not, all in favor? Those opposed, thank you. Obsolete equipment, as you can see the
We found more.
photos. Things.
It's time.
Don't know what they is.
Those look pretty old.
But Tables, linear, and filters.
We can't. It's damaged enough. Yep.
They serve there.
And cafeteria tables.
All right, so somebody want to make a motion to
My
what are
God.
these obsolete equipment by Melissa? Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, it's a second by Jen. All right, we're gonna move on now. All in favor? Those opposed? Thank you. We'll now move on to new and old business. Is there any new or old business? Aside of that?
Sure. Just wondering if there was any update, if that's been heard, or we heard back from them, or anything.
I did get an email back. Do you remember? Did you get that email? I'll have to look it back up. I'll let you know what it was. I was just some confusion about what the council does. There was no amount. So we kind of left it as fair kind of thing. So,
So, but we can reach that amount will be submitted.
yeah.
I could request that I check what you didn't have.
Specific amount. We did. We talked about
Said,
letting them decide. Right.
but I know 10 pounds.
I'll pass that on
Yeah.
and they can amend it. Okay.
No. And the other is just. Athletic fields.
Ready to go. I know they gave him back to the coach and for one last look of something about plugs and electricity or something, making sure it's fine. And as far as Anthony Cleaves is he's done. Unless there are some changes. This thing.
Center for Excellence building.
Great question. So we should be, the elevator came in, they've put extensive windows for fresh air. Telling you it's a big concept. I would say, I can't give you an exact date. We were hoping to be in there the first of the year, maybe March.
Okay.
But the building looks fantastic.
Contractors, everybody's working.
yeah.
We have been putting our orders together for the furniture, the technology. The staff goes over there weekly.
You know where
Butch
that is,
stays on
Andrew?
top of
It's-
it.
I do not. I was just going to ask that.
So, just so everybody knows, it's at the corner of Lancaster and Johnson Street. It used to be the old industrial hardware.
Oh,
And that
over
guy that bought
there.
it. He's been putting money into it for years. We went into an RFP and,
Stunning.
yeah, and so they negotiated price and everything. And so that will be our Center for Excellence, which we had on Adam Street and we moved it back here and it's just, right, it's just
Yeah.
grown and it's time for another building.
So we have 3 programs that'll be in that building to start with. So
And
we
that's
have-
Lancaster and Johnson.
Yes, so it will be the LCE, it will be our, what was formerly known as credit recovery students. We
Mhm.
call it Empower Ed now.
So
Those
that
students
goes over there from the high school.
And our new virtual high school staffing, and sometimes those students have to come in, so they will be there as well. So we'll have 3 program
3
schools.
programs in that,
That'll free
in
up
that
space
building.
here.
About
Oh,
6
that's good.
classrooms, about 6 classrooms at the
That's
high
good.
school.
Been down there, Butch, at all to see?
Yes,
Yeah, he's hitting it hard.
it's stunning. Stunning.
Hmm.
Good.
I had one more
Yeah.
question. I just could probably be an offline request, but at Samoset School, the hill, everybody's sledding on it now. It needs a little bit more padding on that piece of chain link fence that separates the road from the soccer field down below.
Hey, Bills?
Yeah, there's,
They used to have hay bales down there.
yeah, there's just one piece of padding and it's kind of not attached to the fence post.
These fast sleds today.
Yeah,
I'll ask Butch to take a look at that.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, when you get hurt.
Yeah, right.
Anything else? Yeah, no, just so everybody can see it. Right? Anybody got any questions? All well spent, all towards curriculum and things that were important. So what's the balance about right now?
So what did you got?
So one and two gone. What's the balance in three? Does that all have to be spent this year?
September.
September 30th, we met with procurement.
Yep.
So we have our top two priorities. Butch is on it every day, and Mel and Laureen Sapola.
So does that have, is that the 2024? It has to be spent?
Yes.
Or accounted for? Right.
By December 31st.
So as long as you have it, well,
We do.
it has to be paid. I mean, or like for us, I don't know about you, but if to get a DPW truck, you're talking 3 years now. Fire trucks, 3.5
Right.
years. How can you pay that? But committed, right? What's our balance roughly? Just. Anyway, just so you can see.
What-
one
it's-
and two
yeah.
Right here, well spent.
We can give you an update on,
Accuse us of not.
Three.
doing it properly, right?
we've done a lot of projects in the district. It's
And
been
then I
great.
just, one other thing, I just wanted clarification. I know that we haven't had anybody come to our meetings, who's angry and, taking a personal shots at anybody or anything, but I think we need clarification. This came up at a mayor's meeting where mayors that were chairing committees. The Supreme Court made a decision and said that somebody could come in and we couldn't really stop them from what they say. You let them come in and they can say what they want. We have a 2-minute rule. You can stop them, you say, hey, listen, you got your 2 minutes. But when it comes to specifically aiming their words at a school employee or an individual or school committee person, I don't think you have to allow that. So
No,
I
you
think we
don't.
just need clarification from Mark on that.
Mhm.
Just so we're on the same page in the event that's, this is beginning to happen at other school committee meetings where people are coming in and yelling at the superintendent or a principal or teacher and it's, they can come in and yell all they want. It's okay. It's just, the side.
It's not personalized.
Yeah, you're personalizing this stuff.
Needs to be respected.
Right. And so,
He's trying to say.
right, but the law says they don't even have to be respectful. It's just,
Yeah.
so I'm just trying to say.
Right,
No,
right.
Right, we don't want them just yelling, randomly, and,
in the Supreme Court case.
no, I just want clarification.
Case from New York Times.
Just want
I'll
just
talk to Mark.
clarification, that's
I'll
all.
talk to Mark.
Yes.
Hi, just where it's a new committee and I feel like we haven't done this for a while. I don't know if any of us wanted to do a conflict of interest
Is
potentially.
it part of their training? Is it part of the training that you?
I already did it.
You
I
already
went
did
to
it?
that
You took
school
the course.
committee seminar there in Hopkinton.
Yeah.
And I remember at the first meeting, there was a question about, disclosure.
Right.
So I contacted the ethics committee and notified you.
Yeah.
Also, and Paula, that I had contacted them the next day. And a couple of hours later, they were very, very efficient. Someone with whom I spoke identified herself as an attorney. I told her the situation and she said, better to err on the side of caution because I have no relatives
Yep.
here, but I have friends, for example, with the negotiations. So I got the
Okay, you
form.
could participate in all of those.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and I filed it with the city clerk.
So, does anybody take that test? for
No,
the
we
ethics?
all do, but I know in the past we've gone around
around,
this and declared a disclosure. For example, my daughter's worked at Creative Choices in the past.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Just
A public.
exactly, a public
Got
disclosure.
it.
That's
Does
what
anybody
I'm
want to
saying.
disclose anything here tonight?
There,
Not yet.
well,
I don't have any.
I should. I'll do.
I got
I have one. So my company is a subcontractor to Langdon Engineers that's starting to work on the Fallbrook
Oh.
school. I mean, I think we have a very, very small piece of the pie. It just came across my desk the other day. But
You
it's,
just need to
Recuse
file
yourself.
with the.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Come to voting.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
very simple. It's
yeah,
very,
so that's one of the things
black,
I would do.
yeah.
Yeah.
Always disclose.
Mhm.
Amongst anything. Just
I've done this before, but my husband does the Yeah, my husband does the clock and like scorekeeping for various sports.
I don't think I think that this slow down.
Go ahead.
My-
Give us something.
Let me think of something. Nothing. All right. Anything else? No old business? Oh, do you have something you want to disclose?
No, I don't think I do. Do I?
Not that I know.
But you were gonna say something.
No, no. I was like, Eileen, you know
What's
something?
with all the lights tonight? You got a pen light? He's got a billboard
I
light.
know, and
Am I missing? I'm a gadget.
shining him in Sal's eye.
I'm a gadget kind of guy. You guys got me beat.
It's a magnifying.
I love
light.
it.
It's because I have the tendency to read a lot of books with small print.
Yeah, your eyes starting to hurt.
Oh, God, with this, it's like, goodness gracious.
Yeah, all you guys with these gadgets, man.
Where'd you get that?
Gadget
I
guy.
got it on.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All right, all in favor? All right, thank you all.